Hello. I know everybody who just got into it speaks Portuguese, but I'm trying to speak in English. This is my English account. This is just a test. Morning. I'm trying to open it on Facebook too, but something is wrong. It won't take long. Today is my wife's birthday, but she had to take my son to school, so I decided to do that while she's away. Can you hear me? Why can't I do that here? Can you hear me better now? Okay. I decided to test it on Facebook and Instagram, but Facebook it's stupid. Thank you. On Instagram, I just tap a button, while on Facebook they require streaming services, and I don't think they don't allow me to do it live. I don't know if if it's because I don't have too much followers. I don't know what happens here, but Facebook is not working. Anyway, so the test is not what I intended. But I wanted to talk about a bit. I want to talk a bit on what I wrote yesterday about Oz, the land of Oz. I said each of the characters. I've said that before, more than once. That each of the characters are related to one of the elements. And when I say that, people sometimes mistake it for me saying that each of the characters, the main characters, uh, Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodsman, and the Cowardly Lion, are each one of the temperaments. They are not related to the temperaments. They are related to the elements themselves. Their description matches the element. So Dorothy is born and raised on a farm. The farm is described as dry. Everything is full of dust and gray. The author does not say they are sad, but he implies there isn't much time to have fun there. It's a poor house with not a lot of things. It's a small house, a simple life, a hard working life. And wherever Dorothy looked, there there was this gray, dry, and uniform playing. How does she get into Oz? There's a cyclone, air, a great, angry wind that takes her away against her will. And her house goes with her. This is a very earthy type of flying. You go with your house, with your property. And then, how does the story begin in Oz? The house lands and kills the wicked witch of the East, which is another very earthy, melancholic type of killing someone. You hit it with a house. And the moment she gets into this wonderful country, this wonderful land, full of weird and colorful people, she wants to go back home to the great farm, to her old aunt and her old uncle. She doesn't blink. She doesn't feel divided. Like, this is good, but I know maybe home is good too. No, she gets there. First thing she wants is to go back home. Everything she does is to go back to the gray farm, to her old relatives, to the hard life. It's Earth, very definitely Earth. The only creature that does not speak, Toto, is with her all the time. So she starts walking, and then she comes across a scarecrow, right? Scarecrow is a doll with air and hay inside it. It's not heavy, it's very light. Not only that, the scarecrow is on a pole high up in the sky. He is above a field, a piece of earth, okay, but he's above it and above the crops, above the things that grow. And he is there by himself thinking. And it is the only one of Dorothy's companions in this adventure that starts its relationship with her by chatting. He just greets her. Hello, how you doing? How are you? I'm good. I'm bad. No, I'm not very good here. I was born yesterday. I'm here to scare off the crowds, but one of the crowd came. I heard him speaking with the others, and now they don't fear me anymore. It's boring here because I have no one to talk to. And then she frees him. And what does he want? He wants to be smarter. He wants to have a brain. It's air all the time. And then they start off their journey together, and they sleep in a house, a cozy place, a nice place, in a good forest full of fruit. But in the morning, they listen to something or someone groaning. Not talking, groaning. And they find this tin man motionless, as water is if nothing disturbs it. but they do disturb him because that's what he wants. So they oil his joints, they lubricate his joints so he can move again. And what does he do? Before joining them, he tells them his story. And his story, his life story, is about love. It's all about love. It's a heartbreaking story. And what does he want? A heart. It's all water. It's weird that a doll made of hay and old cloth is the air figure, and a robot is the water figure. But they are described exactly in these terms. And then we have the fourth companion. It's earth, air, water. We still have to meet fire. And he does not talk to them. He does not groan. He doesn't tell any love story. He doesn't tell them any story. He roars and attacks. They hear a distant roar in the jungle, and then this great animal attacks, punches a scarecrow, and the scarecrow flies feet away, knocks down the teen woodsman, threatens to bite Toto. This is fire. He acts first, and then he tells them a little bit about the about him. They tell them what they are going to do, and he says, "I'm going with you because my life is miserable without a bit of courage." And when we listen to the story, we read the story, Dorothy wants to go back home, but the way to go back home is with her all the time. The scarecrow wants a brain because he wants to be smart, but throughout the story, he actually gives the best ideas. He's the strategist of the group. He's already smart. Not as smart as he wants to, but he's already smart. The Tin Man, he puts them into trouble sometimes because he refused to hurt even a tiny ant. The only thing he hurts is a wildcat. He cuts off the wildcat head to save small mice. He saves the queen of the mice. And he's always the most compassionate, the one who is afraid of hurting other people's feelings. It's he's already the one from the group that has the biggest heart. And the lion sacrifices himself for the group all the time. He's definitely the bravest. But he feels he's a coward. He calls himself the cowardly lion because he wants more of that. Yes, a wildlife appears. I was trying to test the live on Facebook, and I decided to put the Instagram live at the same time, but I didn't manage to do on Facebook because it's too complicated and I'm an old man. But Facebook, it's easy, even for an old man. I just tap a button. So they are each one associated with an element. And where are they going? They're going around a golden road, the yellow brick road, to the center of this wonderful square country. They're going to visit the Jade Emperor. Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to visit Oz, the mighty Oz, the wizard. And I say the Jade Emperor because of three things, in fact. Okay. Jade Emperor was not a fake. Oz is a fake. He's not a real magician. In a land full of wizards, he is just a common man who pretends to be a wizard. But he lives in the center of a square country, a square land. And so he's not associated with any of the elements, but to the fifth element. The fifth element, to Ether. He is green, like the Jade Emperor, the Chinese Jade Emperor. And like the old Empire of China maps, Oz is square. And being a square, well, a square has four sides. Each of the four lands are should be or might be associated either with one of the elements too, or one of the directions of space, but not in a geographic sense, in a symbolic sense. In a geographic sense, they are, and it's very clear. It's stated right away in the text. I have a bit of a problem to talk much about the symbolism of the countries because half of them are not very well described. But from what we know, the symbolism checks out. The Munchkin land is in the east. It's described as a very happy country, a very beautiful place. And this is where the story ends, because this is where the sun rises. This is where the story ends. The story ends. No, sorry. This is where the story begins, because this is where every story, every day begins, because this is where the sun rises. And the sun, when it rises, it ends the night and the darkness. And the story begins by a very evil character being killed by something that falls from the sky. And then we have the South country, the country of the Quadlings, which is red. Oz is a fictional land, but it probably is around the same latitude as Europe, because the author was American, so when he thought of these things, he thought of a land up there, not down here. And the sun, to people in the ancient world, the old world, Europe, the Maghreb, the Near East, the sun comes from the south. Which color is this land? Red. Which is the witch of this country? The strongest and the best of all them, the good witch of the south. The north is not really described, is the land of the Gillikins, and it's purple. I don't have much to say about the purple, except that it is the darkest of the four colors of the four countries. And there also lives a good witch, but she is weaker than the south witch. and it reminds me of Cancer and Capricorn, the two doors. But it's just it's not very rooted in the text because it's not very well described. But what about the fourth country? What about the country of the Winkies? When the story begins, it is the only of the four countries still dominated by an evil witch. It is yellow, and I kept thinking, why yellow? Maybe it's the color of the sunset, because that's where the sun sets. But that's also where the sun sets in this story. They go to the center, they go to Oz, but they have to go to the west, and they have to fight in the west to kill the witch of the west, the wicked witch of the west. And who does it? The same one that killed the wicked witch of the east in the beginning of the day, in the beginning of the adventure, Dorothy, the cold and dry one, in the cold and dry quarter of the world. And how does she do it? It's the east, right? Associated with Libra and with fall. So it's and the opposite place to where the sun sets. So it's cold and dry, right? Earth. What happens if you throw water on sand and earth to a castle, a sand castle? It melts. The witch was dry, and she died when Dorothy, without knowing, throws a bucket of water on her. So that's it. That's why what I wanted to say about this book, except that I don't think the author was thinking of any of this stuff when he wrote it. But the book is full of it. Every depiction of one of the four characters makes the Scarecrow the smartest, the Lion the bravest, the Tin Woodsman the one with the most the biggest heart, and Dorothy as the most down to earth. And the few indications he gives about the countries seem to be associated with the symbolism of east, west, north, and south. That's it. This was supposed to be 10 to 15 minutes of test, and I have spoken for half an hour almost. If you want to say something or to ask something, feel free. If you don't want, I'm going to call it, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to close the live. No? So, thank you for watching me. Bye bye.